Hello, folks. Hope you're well. If you are loving the podcast, long-term fan, you've maybe been listening to a few episodes and like it, please make sure that you're subscribing to my Sunday Thoughts email newsletter that I send every Sunday. I give some perspective on self-improvement, and it's just some nice thoughts on a calming day. Also, if you're loving the podcast, I do a paid subscription of 99p a month where you get an extra episode on a Friday, which is a little bit more personal, and obviously a bonus episode, and any exclusive first access to any projects that I'm working on as well. So, if you want to do that, go for it. Otherwise, enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Self-Improvement Project. I hope you are all well. We will probably be around mid-May now. A lot of my thinking recently and my writing has all been around simpler living, fighting the corner for simpler living, thinking about the importance of our inner energy. I've been educating myself a little bit on that and really starting to apply it to my own life. I honestly, if there's one simple message that I think could help any of you when you're listening to these things, is just apply it straight away and see what works and what doesn't. The problem with ideas are that's all that they are. When we have ideas that we implement straight away, we find how unique they are to ourselves, how we perceive them, how we are with them. We can either go through the classic learning curve of we get frustrated, we can't do it, we want to get better at it, we know that we have to go through it in order to get better at it, the classic learning curve. Or we find that we have a completely unique experience with it, and we can sometimes fall in love with it, or we can reject it and then come back to it as well. This is the beauty of life when we have the opportunity to do things. So I'm encouraging you to apply as much as possible to these things into your own life. It's so special and novel to feed that curiosity and allow yourself to be that free individual that you are. Try the new things, try the new idea, see how it lands. On the last, or one of the last podcasts when I was recording with my friend Dan, before we were talking about exercise and supplements and looking after our well-being and things like that. And it is just amazing how unique everybody responds to different things, how our body adapts, how our mind adapts, how we enjoy it, how it makes us feel, and learning from that, analysing, reflecting from those things are essentially the essence of life. So that's one thought to start off today, but today's episode and theme is going to be the case for living more simply, or the case for a simpler life. So, where does this idea come from? We have recently gone through a pandemic where life was turned upside down. We went from going to the office or our workplace every day to being completely shut into our own homes. The two extremes. Through being in our own homes, we had a lot more time to think, to analyse, to reflect, to ponder all the possibilities that exist. And through doing so, we're discovering this element of simple living, the importance of it for our own headspace, for our own ability to grow. this might sound quite cynical, but because before, and maybe even now to an extent as the world is past the recovery stage, it's so busy that you don't have time to think. There's that element of autonomy, autopilot that you are functioning on that means that you're too busy to breathe, essentially. Now, simpler living comes with its sacrifice. If you're choosing to live more simply by saying no to certain things, by choosing to not live up to the rat race of the Joneses, then you're going to sacrifice all the things that people do, the high levels of expectation that people live up to, doing things, buying things, being people, being certain people. And by doing this, you're choosing to live a certain way. Now, something I often ponder is people that get success quickly and they do it by a means that, it's not false, but they do it by a means that isn't sustainable. And it's relying on things that aren't natural to us. And all these people want beyond it is a simpler life. So I'm a big believer that living more simply is the answer. That is what we need to do. We need to understand that there is no pot of gold from living in a certain way and trying to keep up with everyone. The pot of gold is the simpler life. The pot of gold is having time to do the things that you want that uniquely make you happy. Living a simpler life is having a few friends, not a million friends. Ones that matter to you, ones that are important to you. A simpler life is spending time with those that you love. A simpler life is being outside more than you are stuck inside. A simpler life is something that allows your mind to not think all the time. You're flowing through life rather than constantly having to make decisions for things that might not actually even matter to you. Now, there's lots of different avenues that we could explore. I'm not going to explore all of the things that are entailed with a simpler life. I think what we need to do here is shift our mindset towards a simpler life. We need to shift, right, what can I eliminate from my life that does not bring me joy? And what are the things that are really simple, really minimal in my life that do bring me joy? The easiest way to do this is sit down, do the basic exercise of writing down the things that you are grateful for today. And the key or the clue here is the simpler, the better. I've done episodes before on health. Health is simple, but we ignore it. We don't prioritize it a lot of the time due to other things. But having your health is the thing that you should be most grateful for. It's the one thing that you actually can't live without. So that's just an example and a thing that you can use to help you reframe, I guess. But as humans, we do tend to sacrifice our own happiness a lot of the time. We tend to do the things that we don't want to please everyone else and just not stand out from doing so. Now, what we need to do is be selfish. We need to eliminate those things that don't make us happy. What are the things that you need to cut out to make yourself happier day in, day out? And then it becomes when they're eliminated that It's not that you're thinking about happiness. You just are happier. You don't need to think of happiness as an actual concept. You just need to appreciate that this is how your existence should be. Are you happy with living simply? It might feel unnatural, but there is that satiation around just being content with the simple things, knowing that you don't need to strive and achieve all the time, and that can bring you the contentment, the fulfillment, the meaning that you're actually looking for when you do push yourself beyond the limits. I'm not saying to do so. If you're in a stage of life where pushing is good, do it. That is what gives you fulfillment. That's what gives you purpose and meaning. But having gone through it, there is a space for reflection and thinking about, right, what is it that actually brings me joy? So I'm going to wrap there, guys. I hope that has landed somewhat. I hope that has helped. I hope that has given perspective for you. I sometimes question how unique this perspective is. I just care about it. So thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time. I hope something over the last few months I've been trying to do is be more enthusiastic when speaking. Sometimes I slow down too much. But I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you have enjoyed listening. And please, as always, write to me with your thoughts. Write to me with how you think about this. It helps me so much to see different perspectives and angles that allow me to continue to produce different things on these topics. So, as always, guys, thank you very much for listening. And I will see you all next time. Cheers.
Hey guys, me again. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you're not ready for the Becoming Unstuck in 30 Days self-led course quite yet, why don't you try my free ebook I created? 5 simple steps to improve yourself and your life. I made this during the very first lockdown of the pandemic in the early days of the self-improvement project. It's a quick go-to when you're feeling unsure what to work on when improving yourself or your lifestyle. And the great starting point if you're trying to figure out how to live a more fulfilling and simple life. The link for this will be in the show notes for you. Have a good one.